I had to switch up the hat. This is the hat. This is the hat that I wore. I was like, you know what? Let me get the Detroit love going. Got the Pistons shirt on. One from T-shirt time. Detroit versus everybody. Got to still represent the Pistons as always, but a little bit of Lions season, a little bit of Tigers, man. Just wanted to represent, man.
It's the fun time of year. It's the most wonderful time of the year when football is coming back and you get basketball right after it.
Oh, it is, man. What did you feel about the Lions, real quick, before we get this drum roll going?
I've been hurt before. So we've gone through these seasons where, yeah, they should be 9-7 or 9-7 in the 16-game thing, but they should be 10-7 now. But then something always happens. And that's just the thing. You've been hurt before, and you always feel like, okay, there's something that's coming that you did not see. And you want to be able to say, I told you so. But then you want to be on the other side of that to say, I told you so, that they would finally get this stuff together. And I mean, I don't know.
I mean, that's the truth there, man. That's the truth. And that's kind of what I was telling Terry, is that this is probably the most complete Lions team I've seen, man. From top to bottom. I just, the coach, the front office, even the ownership is just kind of in tune with what their job is, all the way down to the players, man. Like I don't know. On paper, this squad is supposed to go out there, and I asked him this question. Are we finally able to think of the Lions what we thought of the Patriots, the 49ers during their heydays, the Seattle Seahawks? We knew they're going in, they're winning their division. They're going in, they're not going to sweat to 10 games. And he believes the Lions are there. But I was like, ooh, I need you to start making these types of proclamations for the Pistons soon, man. And he doesn't think we're close to that yet.
So here's the thing on the Lions, is that you have to show me something. You've shown me a lot of hints of things in that, maybe. But until you see concrete proof, then it's just kind of fanboy. This is the year. This is and I need to see something. Show me something. Show me a year where they go out, win the division when you're supposed to win the division, and I can jump on the bandwagon next year. But it's just been too many years where it's been, oh, okay, this is what's up. Well, not so much. Not so much.
Bro, man, I appreciate your comments on that, actually, man. I really do, especially as Lions season's getting to the swing of things and coverage is starting to expand at the network. So I like hearing that, because I thought I was the only one. I'm believing in them, but I'm like you. Show me something, man. But let's get this drum roll started, man. I'm glad everybody has tuned in. Definitely going ahead and hit that like button to get the algorithm going, get more people in this chat, and hit the subscribe as well. I want to talk about some things with Rod Beard today. We're going to kick it off with Rod's thoughts after this drum roll. You like that? You like that, John? I've been working on like my transitions and everything, but let me get this going. Hey, yo! Shout out to the legend Detroit News, Rod Beard. Brother, how are you doing this morning?
It is a Wednesday morning. It is the best time of the week because you're halfway through it. You can make it to Wednesday. You can make it through Wednesday.
Hey, I like that, man. Encourage everybody through. We got a lot of hardworking people that listen to the podcast, and I'm glad that we do what we do, because it helps to get them through their day. We don't anticipate all of the different things that could come about from this, but I think the chief thing, beyond like Pistons coverage or reporting or anything, I think has been from our nucleus, between you, Jeff, myself, and others, and the relationships that are growing, Sean and others, all the way down to the relationships that we have now with, a lot of the viewers. It's an awesome experience and an awesome time. And I love doing this for a lot of those purposes. But Rod, we got to kick things off. You ready? You coming in swinging, man? Because you know what we're doing now. We kick things off now with Rod's thoughts, man. Like just whatever's rattling around up there, man. Just swing away.
All right. You know what will determine the Pistons' outcome more than anything else this year? More than lineups, more than the draft picks, more than coaching, more than anything else.
Intrigued.
What will determine the Pistons' kind of fate this year? The schedule.
Hey,
schedule comes out on Thursday, 3 p.m.
Ooh.
Be there or be square. And so just like everything else, every year we talk about, well, how many wins do you think they're going to have? Is it 30? Is it 40? Is it playoffs? Is it
Ooh,
play in? Is
yeah.
it whatever? Thursday, you get the schedule release, and that is the biggest determiner of where they're going to be and how they're going to do, because it tells you, what do those first 10 games look like? What do those last 10 games look like? Where's that West Coast trip in that? Is it one long West Coast trip? Is it two smaller ones that are broken up? Is it early in the year, or is it later in the year where they get some time? Because you can see them getting Lakers, Clippers, Suns, Denver in the same road trip, and that's not something you want to do in
No,
November. You
nope.
want to do that thing, if you're going to do the West Coast trip, you want that thing split up, and you want it to be in January, February, somewhere in there where you have an opportunity to build up to that. So I'm excited about seeing what that schedule looks like, what those first 10 games look like, because I think you can tell a lot about where the team is going to be based off those first 10 or 15 games. And who do you have? We got the in-season tournament kind of schedule, and that's 4 games. It's not super exciting. You got the Sixers, you got the Hawks, you got Cleveland, so you know who you're kind of playing. It was just the order and where those games were going to be, home or away, and how they count for that midseason tournament. So I think the important thing is, what does that schedule look like, and who do they open up with that first couple of weeks?
Yeah, I think that that's really key and really important. I'm really glad we do this segment now too, because I think it helps to shape and shade some of the conversation very, very well. That's an astute point. We talk about the chemistry. We talk about the fact that this team cannot get off to a slow start. And
Mm-hmm.
realistically, my mind was not even on the schedule release and how we've seen the Pistons go in early and have to hit a lot of these, heavy back-to-backs, a lot of these heavy road trips early, and they
Yep.
just look disheveled and disenfranchised. And then, I want to look back at Cade's rookie season just to see how much of that second half of the season was like due to an easier schedule, travel-wise, due to an easier schedule, maybe. You obviously some teams are going to be resting guys. Some teams might be battling attrition and whatnot. I want to be able to kind of get a greater look at that. I'm going to check that out later as well. But that's very, very key, man. Depending on who these guys can get, like last year, opening up with Orlando, I thought that was very, very, very good for them. Not that that was like a push button win, but it was
Mm-hmm.
something that was favorable to them. It was on their level. They didn't have to punch up too much, and they had a star for star. Paulo, Cade, and in the end, Cade and the Pistons prevailed. And so if they get a schedule, to me, that kind of plays to that. And the Pistons, like you said, I believe last show, can kind of kick around some things, kick around maybe 500 to start after 10, 12, 20 games. I think that that's encouraging. Then this team does not lack confidence, man. If you give them a little bit of a spark, I believe
Mm-hmm.
that that's going to be all they need to just continue to have this thing look, formidable. Something that can definitely compete for the play-in tournament. So I like that, man. I think that that's again, that's an astute point. I'm just sitting here thinking, I'm like, yeah, I can't wait. You said it's when should people tune
Thursday
in
at 3.
again?
Thursday at 3.
Thursday at 3. Thursday at 3. I know they
So
just.
so here,
Oh, you going
so
ahead?
here's the other thing too, is how many teams in the East are they comparable to or better than going into next year?
We did this
They're
last
on
year.
the same. They're on the same level as maybe the Bulls, maybe Indiana, Washington. I would say, yeah.
Washington.
Orlando, yeah. Charlotte. So again, if you're thinking play in or playoff, play in, you got to be better than 5 teams. Can you be better than Charlotte, Orlando, Washington,
5 teams.
Chicago, Toronto? If they trade Pascal and they're already done with Fred, you can be better than Toronto.
Rod. Rod. Oh my gosh, we're gonna let you. I'm glad we did this, man. I'm glad because when you put it that way, last year when we did this, and you asked the question, it was like, I don't think we're better than 5 teams. This year was like, you just got to beat 5 teams. Not that it's like
Just be
push button, but
just be 5 teams.
I'm starting to think about it now. This year, I'm a little bit more like, yo, that's a discussion worth having. The play-in, I believe, is within reach, man. I really do. With all this hype that's kind of surrounding the Cade of things, was surrounding Jalen Duren. Like, let's be for real here. We're not talking about Jalen Duren's, as if we talked about Andre Drummond in the past. Oh, he's in the gym shooting threes. We see him expanding his game. Let's see what it translates. He was in the gym with some of the NBA's, the world's top basketball players, playing basketball and actually dominating in that setting. That's a completely different thing. It's like, I heard someone else as well start to echo this sentiment. And I'm starting to see some kind of national pundits, and as people, like I told you, start to get into reviewing the team, they're starting to say, like, this squad hasn't played together. These are some pretty good talent on paper. Man, to me personally,
who's been saying that? Who's been saying that all this time now?
I got the receipts too, man. I brought some receipts, man. People are really starting, because
there haven't been a lot of Cade and Jalen Duren.
Oh man,
that's a stumper. I don't know.
To be fair, I was like, you know what? When I was sitting here looking at some of this stuff, I was like, you know what? Rod told me what it is. People, they don't really either pay attention or have the time to, and when they do, when that window's there, how are you going to impress them? And I think that this Pistons team this year is a lot more impressive than the one entering last season. There were certain hopes, but it was still like, is Killian going to figure it out? And can Marvin Bagley stay healthy? And no, like it just didn't work. This year, it's like Cade, Jaden, Jalen. Nobody has questions about them. People are wondering effectively how high is their ceiling for this second season. I haven't seen anybody make any assertion that Jaden Ivey or Jalen Duren are going to take a step back this season coming up. Now you also have Bojan, you have Stu, you got NBA pieces in Joe Harris, Monty Morris, Alec Burks. I don't know, man. I'm seeing some people that are really bullish. And this is my thing. I've seen some fans too, and I wanted to be able to talk to you about it. I'm starting to see social media get a little bit more vocal about it. Their thoughts on the Pistons. And I've seen a couple people go as high as 45 wins on the season. Now look, this is from somebody who genuinely, I'm like, yo, this guy is pretty measured, pretty metered.
Is it Kid Kool-Aid? Is it Kid Kool-Aid? Is he
5 to 40 wins?
Is it Kid Kool-Aid out here talking about 45?
No. No. Shout out Kid Kool-Aid. No, it's actually not him, man. He's a little apprehensive too. He doesn't know what to believe in the season coming ahead, man.
Yes.
Let me pull it up.
Yes,
I gotta pull it up, man.
To the pod and he knows what's up.
Listen, listen. Somebody, they quote tweeted this tweet, and I'm just gonna put it out there for the Cade stuff that we were talking about. Then I'll talk about it because it kind of plays hand in hand as the Cade hype continues to go. And this is where I wanted to go with it. I noticed people's belief in the Pistons continues to rise as well. And so our belief, because you said who's been saying this, our platform partially started on, Rod is showing me the ropes, teaching me the professionalism of the game as we kind of transition into, and then we brought in, Mike Curtis as well to contribute from time to time. But Cade was kind of the other half of that platform where we were like, wait a second, we think everybody's missing this guy right here. And everyone's been saying, hey, you guys are a lot more bullish on the Pistons. You guys are a lot more. Well, as people continue to see who this guy is, everybody else continues to follow the same trend. Whether they're overshooting a little bit to like 45 wins, or whether they're in that, 35 to 40 might be realistic. Play-in might be realistic. I'm seeing everybody do it. And I put up this tweet, and it kind of went viral. We got from our sources, our sauces, directly. He texted a couple of us, to definitely stir the pot. So shout out Cool, shout out Sean Murphy as well. But I put first, it was Team USA versus Select Team Scrimmage, and now it's the Rico Hines run. From a source, Cade is the best player in the gym. I can't wait for the footage to drop. But after that, man, people started kind of going ham. Cade Cunningham trending. locally and everybody. Like here, Cade dominating and all these runs is going to make me have my hopes way too high going into next season. That's from All Day Pistons. Like everyone's starting to be like, yo, I'm believing. Young Prophet, man, I can't wait till the season. I know he can get the regular people. I don't care about that. I need him to do this all season. And here's my guy, okay? Look, I'm not going to misappropriate the relationship, even if he believes 45 wins. This is a guy, part of Pistons Twitter. He changed his name a little bit, but Casey Thomas at GM Want to Be is his name. And I like this guy. He says, screaming 45 wins. This is not the team Cade played on to start his career while playing on one leg. And he posts this picture here. I've asked him to explain. He said it's different. He said it's way different. He posted highlight reels of Ivy, Cade, Duren, and these guys. Is it hype? Is it fiction? What are we doing here? Because I'm serious, Rod. People are hyped up off of this, man. And so I wanted to get your perspective on this aspect of belief in the Pistons, man, because fans are starting to.
Stay measured. Stay measured. Stay measured. Okay. 45.
Find the center.
45 is a wild take. That's wild.
That's super bullish, man.
So here's the thing.
That's a rodeo.
And we've said this before. The 17 wins isn't a real 17. Call it mid-20s, actually adjusted for non-Wimby times.
25, give or take.
Mid somewhere in there, give or take. Who are you better than? Because to get to 45, you're going to have to steal some from the West too. So you might be better than Indy. You might be better than Indy, Washington, Orlando, and Charlotte. If you're better than the Bulls, that gets you to 10. And if you're better than Toronto, that gets you to 9. Can you be better than Atlanta? Can you be better than Brooklyn or the Knicks? Starts to be the question. I don't know if you can get to Cleveland, Philly, Boston, Milwaukee, or Miami. I don't know if you're in that level. Can you be better than the Knicks and the Hawks? Is probably the question that you're talking about. Because now let's say 45 wins last year gets you to the 6th seed. That's where Brooklyn was.
Okay.
So can you be better than those? The Heat were 44 in the 7th spot.
Gracious, bro.
So if you're talking playoffs, you're at that 45 wins to get to based off last year. If you're 44, you're in the play-in with the Heat. So you're going to have to be better than a bunch of teams. And in the West, you're going to have to go out West and steal a bunch of games there too. Are you better than OKC? Are you sweeping the season series against OKC, against Dallas, against Utah, Portland, Houston, San Antonio?
That's tough. And look. People will say that we don't keep it real, though. I think that I wanted to be able to set some expectation on this episode, because going forward, I want to be able to kind of do some player breakdowns, look at what we believe these guys may be able to contribute on an individual basis. But I thought we needed to be able to kind of set our expectations, and we did this last season, about this time actually, where you asked us, are we better than 5 teams? You know, and I think that it's appropriate for you to ask that this year as well around the same time. I want to ask the people, put it in the comments. Do you see a path to the play-in? Do you see there being 5 teams in the East that the Pistons are going to be better than? I believe that the 45 is a little bit of a stretch. I believe if the Pistons catch some aspect of lightning in the bottle and Cade and Ivy and Asar and these guys are all at like their peak, like where we believe their ceiling is for this season, they can catch lightning in a bottle. I'm not going to take that from them because of Cade, because of the high IQ aspect of this team, and because of Monty Williams. I believe that that's crucial. They have a lot of basketball minds in that front office, on their coaching staff, Jared Jack, Silas, and others. that team is primed to at least know what their mistakes are and have the appropriate people to help them fix it, while also putting them at their strengths. This is why you bring in Amani Williams. So in terms of this team looking better by next year, they definitely should. And so whereas I don't know if the 45 is necessarily appropriate, are they better than 5 teams? I don't think that we're in a position this year where we go, no. They're probably going to fall somewhere between 3 and 5. This year, they need to be pushing to be better than 5 teams to make the play-in. That's just me. If people want to understand, like, okay, they've been building up to this point. Casey's first year to make the playoffs. News came out that he was also a part of the push to start a rebuild after that first year, that this was not sustainable, and they started a rebuild. They're in year 4 of that rebuild. This is a year that I would say is their respite year last year because of the injuries. I believe if they didn't have the injuries, we're looking at a completely different trajectory to the Pistons this season. But because of the injuries, it pushes them back a little bit. But I like kind of where they're starting to head. I talked about this with Terry Foster too. He cornered me. He was like, last time I talked to you, you said the Pistons were a good team. I'm like, okay, I think they're a team on the path to being good. That's what I really believe, and I think that this is the year that they accelerate that, or at least attempt to. Whether the bolts are on well or not, we will know, because this team I don't believe they have the luxury to just kind of coast, just kind of let the rookies find their way, let Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren work through second-year stuff. I don't think that they're really there, man. I don't. So it's like the 5 teams, man. Do you see like what's your chances that you put on it of them being able to realistically be better than 5 teams and sneak into this play-in?
So let's post in the comments too, because you said 45 is unrealistic. Is 40 realistic, or is 35 realistic? I think 35 is realistic. I think 30 is very realistic. I think 35 is where you start to say, okay, maybe. Yeah. So let me say this too. And I said at the beginning, the schedule is the biggest determiner of all of this stuff. The transition to a new coach and to Monty is probably a close second, because how do you change systems? And they still talk about the 0.5 mentality, and that's going to be a carryover from the Casey era.
Yeah.
But how do you say that you want to, how do you act with a new coach? Do you just kind of, hey, we're going to do whatever and we're down for it, whatever he says we're doing? Or do you kind of buck and rebel and say, hey man, we ain't do that last year. That ain't what we're used to. But when you have a bunch of young players, they're moldable. They don't know enough to do something different. They're just gonna go out and do whatever. This is like AAU for them. Hey, we got a different coach. All right, whatever. A different team. We bounce around a lot and do that stuff. So, and Cade said, we're excited to play for Monty. We're excited to play for Monty. And it's nothing against Casey. It is the reputation that he brings is very similar to what Casey was bringing from Toronto. But he told me they are excited. They're hyped about playing for Monty.
I like to hear that.
How does that manifest? Where you go out and you're having fun, you're playing with your ears pinned back and you're just ready to go. So again, I think that melds into the schedule, that melds into the roster. What if this team at the break, we won't even say the All-Star break, let's say at the midway point of 41 games, let's say they're 21-20, or even 20-21. At the halfway point of the season, you're buying, right? You're buying at the deadline. You're trying to get better.
Wow, man.
So how much? so now that second half might not be. If you're at 20 at that point, do you go full throttle and try to get to 40? Because I think you can. If you're at 21 and 22, you're there. You can improve the roster and get another 25 games, and you can get to 45. That's very possible. So I think, again, the first half of this schedule makes a huge difference in the trajectory of this season, because you can say, hey, okay, at 41 games, what if you're at 18 and 23? You're still kind of right there. You've won 18 games. You're on track for 36. If you go and buy at the deadline, you're still in a spot where you can say. So again, I think that's so important, is looking at what that schedule looks like. Do you get 2 games against Toronto? Do you get a couple of games against Houston in there, where you, in the first part of the schedule, where you can kind of see where you're at? I think that's the big deal. But again, the close second to that is how do they play for Monty Williams? Do they come out and just go, we're coming out the gates and we're doing this, and we might need a little bit of an adjustment phase, but we're out here playing. And you get, again, by the time you get to January-ish, the first half of the season, at the 41 game mark, if you got 18, 20, 21 wins, I think you can really, really push the pedal to the metal and go for it.
Yeah. I 100% agree with that. I feel like the team has the recipe. They definitely have the recipe. And I'm going to read this real quick. Like I said, I bought a couple tweets today. At HP Basketball, he said, putting Cade Cunningham in a top 100 list is perilous, because you can't put him too high based on the one season, but it's going to look so dumb by the end of this season. Like I'm saying, basketball heads are really, really, really starting to say, you know what? We think this is the year that Cade Cunningham takes off. And I'm looking at some of the comments. People are saying, put him in the low 50s or 60s right now. He's going to rise up the rankings. It's crazy to see people really, really, really starting to change their tune about who Cade Cunningham is. And a lot of people now are starting to say, well, really, it was just about the health. We always knew he was a hooper. But I'm like, no, okay, we heard that. I don't know.
But I don't really care about the top 100 rankings and where somebody is, or their 2K rating or whatever. But who kind of does in a very passive way?
Ooh.
Flipping Cade. Flipping Cade cares about that stuff, man.
You know what he does? He goes on the shows too.
He does, because did people kind of forget about where you were and who you were? Yes. He probably believes in his head that, yes, people forgot and people slept, and those injuries made people think that he was washed. It's not even a chip. That's just who he is. It was the same thing in the Rising Stars game. Like, okay, amongst my peers, I'm just going to be the head and shoulders above everybody else. So same attitude. Let me walk into the select team and I'm just going to act up, and then deuce out the rest of the gym. Hey, you want to run with us? You want to run with the winners? Because we got a spot for you. No, I'm out. And everybody has, hoopers have done this. You're running. It's a really good team that you're playing against. You're dominating, but they win the game. Yeah. And so you're about to leave, and they're like, hey, you want to stay? We got a spot. Somebody's dropping. You want to run with us? No, I'm good. I'm good.
Like, I'm a head out. Yeah. Bro, do you understand how baller that is? Like, this has been the summer of Cade, and this guy played 12 games last year. Like, I just wrote the article. Like, just kind of going into how much hype has been created, and it's been off of not training sessions, not in the gym by himself sessions, but the first set of Rico Hines runs versus basketball players and pro-am players, then the select scrimmages, you know what I'm saying? And, hey, we really want you. And the national media saying, this guy's on the wrong team. And then we don't even, bro, we barely get to go to sleep to that. And all of a sudden, wait, he's still hooping? I saw somebody in our comments, man. They were like, yo, tell that brother slow down, man. I'm glad to hear this, but man, tell him to preserve himself.
Put that man in deep freeze. Don't let him do nothing else. So to make sure. Yeah.
Man.
So the other thing I wanted to kind of break down, and I haven't done this, is in his select team stuff.
Yeah.
Who's guarding him? because I don't want people to just kind of make stuff up and say it was pylons that was guarding Cade. He was just running around pylons. And so the anecdotally, we got that it was Jalen Brunson and he was just doing whatever against Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson, decent defender. So, and getting to the rack. So I wanted to go back and look at the highlights and say, okay, who is he really doing this against? And does it really mean something that it's against all of these other cats? It's just not. Is it Ant who was guarding him? And so that means something.
It does.
Okay, that's Tyrese Halliburton that's getting this work.
Triple J.
Yeah, 3J's. So that's what to me matters more. Is it's not pylons, it's not 1-on-0 out here just taking shots. And we've seen that from dudes in the offseason. This is full court. This is Tyrese Halliburton getting some more of that work in the pick and roll. So I think that matters to me, is I want to see if it's decent defenders. It regardless, it's people that are on the FIBA World Cup, the main team. So regardless, these are real players in a real sort of situation, in that it's a scrimmage. It's not a real game, but you can see that would translate to that point.
Yep. Yeah, I'm glad that you broke it down that way, because I think it's important to know, like with Jaden Ivey's run, I keep trying to tell people this. I'm not pumping up everybody. I'm not like going back. We didn't have like no Stanley zone. We didn't have like a Andre Drummond zone. We didn't even have a Jalen Duren or Jaden Ivey zone. I like those guys a lot, and I think that they're going to be good. But Cade Cunningham is just on a completely different level. Ron is killing me. Like, he's on a completely different level. Like Jaden Ivey's run. Look, what's the old adage? Like, look like they're playing against like plumbers and electricians and teachers. Jaden Ivey look, if those are real hoopers, then that guy is going to be averaging 20 a game, because he was just slicing through that.
Bro, let's rewind and let me have you never say Stanley zone. Because it hit. Stanley is my guy. Stanley is my dude. But if you say Stanley zone ever again, it just caught me off guard. I'm Stanley zone.
Somewhere in LeBron James' head.
Man.
I love Stanley, man. But you know what? Him and Andre Drummond, just a side note, their kind of recent, outbursts in media and such prove exactly what we've been stating about the foundation, the makeup, the kind of culture of the organization, not just the guys on the court, because I think that the Pistons have brought in some good guys. Even the story of Andre Drummond opening up his house for Stanley Johnson after kind of what he went through, they were good guys. But where was the ultimate leadership, kind of in mentorship above that? It was kind of shoddy. It just was. Compared to what they have today, I believe that it was a little bit lacking then. And Stanley talked about it. He openly kind of talked about some things, talked about what he was going through, talked about the development, Andre Drummond as well, and kind of seeing what we have today. When people ask or question or wonder, why are you guys taking it easy on Troy? I'm not taking it easy on Troy. I'm waiting. This is the year where I'm really looking now, kind of with the paper and the pen, like Ryan the 10th from The Office, looking at things. I like basketball. I like the Pistons. I would like to see good things. I like to analyze it. I just do. But up until that point, man, it's been a kind of a different ride. Now it's kind of no more test run. Let's get out there and see what we can really, really do, man. But I'm glad that you brought that up. Rewound us a little bit, man.
See, I almost have to walk out on the Stanley zone. But no, man, I think we got some good stuff done today, and again, we can break down some of the schedule stuff next week. I think that is important, and kind of see where they are, because Mike will have some analysis on the schedule tomorrow. But I think when you start looking at that, I want to look at 41 games, and we're not going to go through every game and say, here's the 41 game mark and win, loss, win. We're not going to do that. But I would like to say, hey, looking at this schedule, Where do you think they are at? Can you count 20 wins in that first 41 games? Maybe, maybe not.
That's the crucial part there, man. I like that a lot. I like that a whole lot, man, actually. And hey, listen, you know what? For episode 75, I just want to say shout out to Isaiah Thomas, man, the legend, Detroit Pistons, the original Detroit bad boy, you know, and his inclusion in NBA 75. I just wanted to be able to shout him out. On our show Friday, Terry Foster dropped a little bit of news, and he was like, you know who Isaiah Thomas likes? I was like, who? It's like, you? Like, what? He was like, yeah, man. He was like, he enjoys the way that you guys are pumping up the Pistons. And honestly, we've been a very, very big focal point for kind of their careers, their accomplishments, the things that they've done, getting the I think the celebration that it deserves. I want to even do more of that. But you know, on our channel, we do a lot, social media, we do a lot. And I know that at the Pistons games, whenever we catch them, whether it's myself, whether it's Mike, whether it's Corey, whether it's any of the other beat, Omari, James, you know, Vinny, we're making sure we get that guy out there on social media. And, you know, so I just wanted to be able to take the time and just say shout out to Zeke, man, Isaiah Thomas. Shout out to the legend. If you're watching, thank you. I got my Isaiah Thomas thing here. Thank you. But, yeah, any words on Isaiah Thomas before I get you your drum roll?
No, man, Isaiah is the best, man. He is absolutely and the thing about him is that he's so connected on so many levels, on the ownership level, on the league level. He's been so instrumental in getting a lot of stuff done. He's always talked about getting being instrumental in getting Black writers to cover the NBA and the Pistons specifically. So he champions all of those kind of causes, and he's always been cool with me when I've bumped into him. So awesome. Nothing but love for Zeke and that's what awesome. He's done for the league.
That's awesome. Well, look, I appreciate you and your time as always, Rod. And you all definitely put in the comments some things that you think are possible for the Pistons. We're going to try and get through the schedule in the next episode. Maybe we can get Mike Curtis on here as well, especially since you say he's going to be releasing something on Detroit News tomorrow on the schedule.
Yeah, tomorrow, right after schedule releases, he'll have some analysis on it.
Dope. Definitely. Guys, as always, check out Detroit News. Check out Woodward Sports. But let's get this drum roll going, man. You guys been rocking out with the Woodward Pistons podcast on the Woodward Sports Network. And let's go. Hey, yo! Shout out to the legend Detroit News, Rod Beard, brother. Any last words before we close up for today?
No, man. It's just it's chilly time. After the schedule is released, the NBA goes dark for a little bit until probably training camp. Well, unless the Harden and Lillard stuff happens, but we'll wait on that.
We'll wait. You mean unless the Killian the blockbuster news drops, right?
Or something like that.
All right, brother.
Stanley Zone. Come on, man. I'm done for the day. I can't do nothing else today. I'm done.
Shout out, y'all. Hit that like and subscribe, man. Love y'all out there.